G'day guys, I'm in my late 30s and I'm still single. Apart from a few brief interludes, I've been single for most of my adult life. Yet, as an adult who chooses to be single and is happy being single, I feel constant pressure to justify my choice. The pressure comes from first and second dates when inevitably there's some kind of cross-examination about why I've been single for most of my adult life. Pressure comes from my parents who want me to experience the happiness of one day having a family, and I'm sure that they want the happiness of having grandchildren one day. Pressure also comes from my friends who are already settled down and seem a bit confused about why I'm not going through the process of finding someone to also settle down with. In the face of all of this pressure, a few questions come to mind. Why is it that I'm the one that needs to justify a desire and a happiness to be single? Shouldn't we subject someone's decision to be in a relationship to the same level of scrutiny that we subject someone's decision on being single? Why is it that ending up in a relationship or ending up in a marriage or some kind of permanent union is seen as the critical standard by which we judge success? Can we go a little deeper and start to question some of these societal constructs around how we view relationships, the place of relationships in our ultimate fulfillment and our happiness? In this video, I hope to convince you that if you are single, there's absolutely no shame in choosing to remain single, just as there's no shame in choosing to be in a relationship. Ultimately, what I want to do with this video is question the idea of the perfect relationship. I'd like to argue that this ideal of a perfect relationship doesn't exist. I am going to focus on single people in this video, but I will share a few remarks at the end about the damage that the ideal of the perfect relationship actually does for people that are in relationships as well. So if you're currently in a relationship, I think this video will be also relevant for you. If you're new here, please do subscribe to this channel because I'm starting to create a lot more videos, and that's how you see when these videos come out. And please do leave a comment and let me know if you're currently single and you're happy being single, or you're not happy being single, if you're in a relationship, and whether any of these ideas resonate with you. Let's talk about the myth of romantic love. I feel that us Westerners in our culture, we've become bewitched with the idea of romantic love. We grow up with Hollywood movies projecting this image of this beautiful couple walking along the beach, hand in hand, the sun softly setting in the horizon. It's a beautiful image. But where does this idea of romantic love come from? The School of Life, in a wonderful article, they write about how the idea of romantic love is actually only 250 years old. Before this, people didn't marry each other for reasons of love. It wasn't a very common thing to even pursue this emotion and to recognize it as a valid reason for being together. 250 years ago, people married each other for much more practical reasons. Perhaps it was related to owning property. It could be related to business arrangements between different families. We hear the stories of monarchies and territorial acquisition and people marrying off different kids to set up political empires. The reality is that this was very widespread in society, not just for the powerful elites, but for everyone. So what does that mean for the idea of romantic love today? Just because an idea is new doesn't mean it's a bad idea. We can believe in progress. It could be that the pursuit of romantic love is a very valid pursuit. I think we need to recognize is that romantic love is far more rare than our Hollywood movies portray it. It's very difficult to find this kind of union with someone where you're genuinely, romantically, desperately, blissfully in love. And if it's difficult to find, it's not necessarily a bad thing. If we can recognize this as a reality, if we can still see romantic love as a wonderful thing to hopefully experience, but if we don't necessarily need to pin our hopes to experiencing romantic love in the actual pursuit of a relationship, then I think we can start to unshackle ourselves from this idea of romantic love in the way that it can actually do a bit of damage to the genuine and meaningful relationships we have with each other. This brings me to what I think is a really important point, which is that single people can experience romantic love too. We need to unshackle ourselves from the idea that romantic love is just for people in relationships. What I think that does is that it causes us to chase an unrealistic standard in the way we judge the relationships we have. And we've got the freedom to experience romantic love, but we just don't impose standards by which we judge the conditions for when romantic love actually comes about. So myself as a single man, I love the feeling of romantic love. I love the feeling of bliss when I can share a wonderful moment with someone else. Now, this could come in many different forms. It could come on one of those first or second dates when I feel like there are no expectations being imposed upon me and the person that I'm with. That's a genuine feeling of freedom, a genuine feeling of bliss, and romance can just absolutely surge forth. And then I think that you can start to see what I'm talking about here, which is that I'm trying to liberate myself of these expectations of others, expectations of the people that I'm going on the first, the second, hopefully the third or the fourth dates with. We start to open ourselves up to these beautiful experiences of bliss, however they may come. And for me, those are the kinds of connections that I absolutely love and that I truly embrace. So I think ultimately, single people who choose to remain single have decided to give up the illusion of romantic love and to give up on the pursuit of romantic love as a standard by which they judge the success of their relationships. I think it also takes incredible emotional maturity to choose to be alone. A lot of people are scared to be alone and they paper that over by being with someone even when the relationship isn't quite right. If you actively choose to stay single and to stay alone, you are forced to confront the deeper aspects of your being that may be a little bit unsettling to be with. You're forced to be in a relationship with yourself. And when you're in a relationship with yourself, you do need to go through the same kind of emotional maturity because you need to get your own flaws, you need to be comfortable with your own flaws, you need to learn to live with yourself. Also, being single and committing to being single affords you an incredible freedom to work on yourself, to work on your own personal growth. In my own case, I've been single for most of the time during my 30s, and this has been an incredible time of personal growth. If you're a subscriber to this channel, then you're probably a part of the IdeaPod community. I started IdeaPod many years ago as a social network for ideas. It's evolved into a personal growth platform, and it comes from a very unique vision of personal development, which is all about taking the self out of self-development. I feel that a lot of personal development stuff becomes very navel-gazing, very self-focused, and when we can start to snap out of our inherent narcissism, we can really start to connect with others, build meaningful relationships, connect with the web of society. I feel very fortunate to have arrived at this quite unique perspective, and I've needed to be alone during this time to actually go through all of the challenges that IdeaPod's brought me, where I've been forced to evolve the platform from a social network into a media platform and now into an education platform in the personal development space. There's been huge challenges. It's really pushed me to the brink, and much as I would have loved to have been in a relationship during these challenges, and I would have loved to have shared those challenges with someone, and it is something that I would welcome if I had the opportunity. Looking backwards, I can see that being alone has afforded me a huge amount of flexibility to live my life outside my comfort zone and to have arrived at this personal growth perspective. And I think that we can all be in that same situation. We're all ultimately developing a framework, a perspective, a way to live life. And when you are alone, it does give you a huge opportunity to really double down and focus on yourself and how you relate to others. And there's a great quote by Charles Bukowski that I want to read out right now. There are worse things than being alone, but it often takes decades to realize this. And most often when you do, it's too late. And there's nothing worse than too late. Ultimately, it's about loving yourself first. I recently had a remarkable conversation with the shaman Buddha Yande, and we recorded the conversation. It is about breaking through the myth of the perfect relationship. It's available in a free masterclass. There's a link in the description below if you want to check it out. And Huda makes the very profound point that the relationships that we have in life are often a mirror of the relationship we have with ourselves. So it's incumbent upon us to make sure that the relationship we have with ourselves is a very positive one, is a very nurturing one, is one where we actually take time out to be with ourselves, to truly love ourselves. And when we can love ourselves and nurture that relationship, we're able to have very nurturing and loving relationships with others. In the masterclass, Huda goes through a way for you to figure out whether you're in a healthy and nurturing relationship with someone else, or whether it may have some toxic relationship patterns, and he goes through what the most common toxic relationship patterns are, how you can identify them, and how you can break free of those toxic relationship patterns. But ultimately, the key point that Huda makes in the masterclass, and the point that I think is worth repeating for single people, is that when you are choosing to be single, you are choosing to make this commitment to truly loving yourself, because you recognize that the relationships that will come in your life, because the romantic love is out there, it does come in very blissful moments, the relationships that can emerge from those beautiful moments ultimately will be a mirror of the relationship you've got with yourself. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your life or what to do with your relationships, but what I do know is that single people in modern day society encounter a chorus of voices telling them that something is wrong with them if they are currently single. If you are single, I hope that you will question the societal constructs from where those voices come from, so that instead you can build a very deep and very meaningful relationship with something deeper within, so that the decisions you make for yourself come from that very deep and authentic place. In my own case, I can tell you that I do believe in the feeling of romantic love, even though I don't believe we need to search for it necessarily in the kind of relationship that we grew up believing in, resulting from Hollywood movies and modern day culture. I believe that we've got a deeper instinct to connect with each other, and that the way we feel when we operate based on this instinct, when it's kind of surging through us, and where the instinct is causing us to act in a way that comes from personal power, then we start to open up to the possibilities of feeling romantic love with other people, especially when there are not so many expectations being imposed on whatever that connection may be. It's something that I invite into my life. I'm very much looking forward to experiencing more of, especially because I've gone through so many of the personal challenges related to IdeaPod, changing the company form, as well as going through my own time of personal growth. If you've found this video thought-provoking, you will absolutely love the masterclass on love and intimacy with the shaman Huda Iyande. He goes so much deeper than what I've been able to in this short video. There's a link in the description below. It's free. Definitely check it out. Please do also subscribe, like this video, leave a comment. That helps tremendously to build the channel, to get the video being shared. I've also left a link to my Instagram, so come and follow me there. I've started to share a lot more of my life in picture form. See you next time.